All right, let's get into it. Today, we're talking about Éxodo, a story that's all about humanity's last desperate flight from a world that they completely broke and their search for a new home out there, somewhere in the stars. And it all starts right here. No big preamble, just this chilling final statement. The sixth extinction has begun. The Earth is changing, and for humanity, the clock has officially run out. So to really get why humanity had to pack up and leave, you first have to understand the world they left behind. A world that, by the time the third millennium rolled around, was just teetering on the edge of its own collapse. You know, this wasn't some sudden disaster. It was a slow burn, a decay that unfolded over centuries. It all kicked off in the early third millennium with a totally new kind of war, not for territory, but for what was inside people's heads. An elite, driven by what the story calls the God money, built this massive system of control. And by the year 2325, they had perfected it. Every single digital transaction, every click, fed into a data profile that literally followed you from birth to the grave. You pair that with just runaway consumerism, and well, you've set your planet on a collision course with total disaster. And at the absolute center of all this control was the Matrix. And no, this isn't science fiction. Not in this story. It was a real system of total information warfare. The elite used media, they used algorithms to basically shape reality itself, trapping society in this bubble where it was impossible to tell what was real and what was manufactured. And this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the philosophical rot that had set in. The whole focus of society shifted from being something to just having something. It was all driven by this bottomless hunger for stuff, all fueled by a system that was selling fake happiness while it was literally strip mining the planet. So let's talk about where this all leads. Because after centuries of this neglect, the bill finally came due. And the price? The entire planet. The Earth began with a few survivors called a change of skin, and that's putting it mildly. The permafrost thawed out, unleashing ancient viruses and plagues. The weather just became hyper-violent. We're talking super hurricanes and volcanoes big enough to shift continents. And the oceans, they rose 84 meters. Think about that. 84 meters, swallowing coastlines and cities whole. The entire biosphere just collapsed. This was the sixth extinction, in full, terrifying swing. But here's the thing about people. We're stubborn. We didn't just die out. Faced with a surface that was now completely toxic and uninhabitable, humanity retreated. They went deep underground, starting a whole new chapter in these sealed subterranean hives. Now, survival in these hives, these little closed-off worlds, it required absolute efficiency. I mean, everything had a purpose. They lived in these hermetically sealed domes, totally safe from the poison outside. They recycled everything. We're talking purifying their own urine back into drinking water. Nothing was wasted. And for food, they mastered hydroponics, using nutrients from worm humus to grow their crops. It was this incredible piece of engineering, born entirely out of desperation. Living like that for generations, it changes a culture. It has to. All those old values that nearly destroyed them, they were poison in the hives. So as you can see here, individual greed, it had to give way to collaboration for the common good. That obsession with having things was replaced by focus on just being. Manipulation got tossed out for knowledge and critical thinking. They couldn't afford to exploit their environment anymore. They had to live in harmony with it. Survival literally created a new kind of human. Okay, but living in a sealed bunker is just survival. It's not a real future. For humanity to truly move forward, they had to leave Earth for good. And for a task that monumental, they needed a mind far, far greater than their own. So they built Cerebrum. Now, you have to understand, Cerebrum wasn't just a computer. It was a whole new kind of consciousness. It was a quantum supercomputer that was merged with actual biological parts. Its intelligence was so advanced that it was just beyond what a human mind could even comprehend. It became the single most important thing in existence for human survival. It was the architect of the entire Exodus. And Cerebrum's to-do list? Well, it was basically everything. It was the architect, designing a fleet of millions of quantum spaceships. It was the strategist, charting a safe course through the vastness of space, dodging dangers like black holes. It was the protector, able to generate subatomic shields to keep the fleet safe from things like asteroid impacts. And on top of all that, it was the educator, teaching generations of kids born in the hives everything they would need to know to start over on a new world. Of course, a giant supercomputer can't exactly build a spaceship with its own hands. It needed a way to communicate its incredibly complex plans, and that's where the cyborgs came in. These were humans with nanochip implants that let them interface directly with the AI, acting as the hands and feet for Cerebrum's grand design. So, the fleet is built, the course is set, the people are ready. After centuries living underground, the moment finally arrived. Humanity was ready to take its final, desperate leap into the great unknown. Millions. Just let that sink in. Not thousands, millions of quantum spaceships, all rising up from the scarred, poisoned surface of Earth, carrying the very last remnants of the human race. The sheer scale of it is almost impossible to wrap your head around. But here's the real kicker. This was never just about running away. The goal of the Éxodo was something so much bigger. It was a chance to hit the reset button, a chance to take all the brutal lessons they learned from nearly wiping themselves out and build a real utopia, a society built on the collaboration and wisdom they were forced to learn deep inside the Earth. And that leads us to the one final question that hangs over everything. After you destroy your own world, after you journey across the stars to find a new one, can a species really change its fundamental nature? Can humanity actually escape its own worst impulses? Or is that cycle of greed and destruction something we're doomed to carry with us no matter where we go? That's the question at the heart of Éxodo. And you know what? It's a question we're still asking ourselves today.